Yo, what's up, guys? I'm gonna be doing this Invicta 57 breakdown for you guys right quick. My bad, I put it out so late. I was gonna put it out last night, but just couldn't end up getting it done in time. But yeah, man, I got a couple bets on LFA. I got a bet on this card tonight, and so go to patreon.com/prediction guru. Check that out. Get access to some winning bets that we're going to be hitting over the weekend. I'm going to be putting on a couple more bets as well, but let's get right into it, man. Hit the like button. Would really appreciate some likes. Hopefully, a few of you guys get to watch it. I know it's coming out pretty close to the card, but first fight, Anna Vittoria taking on Quinn Williams. Vittoria, this is going to be her pro debut, and I'm excited to see what she's going to do as a pro because she was a really successful amateur. She had two times, or she was a two-time IMAP Pan American champion, and she won the tournament 145 pounds and 121 pounds. So obviously that shows an ability to beat fighters in multiple weight classes, and as well, she's fighting this fight at 115. So I think that's good for her. It shows that she's probably in the proper weight class at this point, and she has 8 wins in her amateur career, and all 8 of those wins are finishes. So she's also been a very exciting fighter to watch. And she's taking on Quinn Williams, who's coming back pretty quick. She's trying to pick up some momentum. She got her first pro win in July. And she was also an undefeated amateur. She won the King of the Cage amateur title, but lost her pro debut and then looked good in her last fight. And she fought for Combate, the LFA, and now Invicta. So obviously promotions are looking at her as a good prospect to put her on these higher level fight cards. Quinn Williams, aggressive grappler. She has American wrestling, and it looks like she is pretty athletic. And Vittoria, she's also a grappler who has a good submission game. And ultimately, this one's a hard one to predict because I couldn't find very much footage on Vittoria. She has a good pedigree, but obviously it's like I don't know exactly how good these amateur women she was fighting are, and I don't know how she's going to deal with someone that's a lot bigger than her, more than likely, and Quinn Williams definitely at least 3 inches taller and very athletic and can match her in the wrestling. The thing about it, though, with Quinn Williams is she doesn't necessarily have striking to use her wrestling to keep it standing. I don't think can win that way, so she's going to have to go into the danger zone. And to me, this is just a total pass. I feel like if you have to bet it, go with the underdog Quinn Williams. I'm going to predict Vittoria wins just because I think she has a good pedigree and she'll probably step up in the moment and get the job done. But I think that's a tricky fight where it definitely is a dog or pass in that one. But next fight, we got another one that's pretty difficult to predict with Fernanda Orana, who only has had one fight. It was pretty quick and painless. She was super pumped up. You could tell she was really intense, ready to go even before the first bell. Came out blazing. She closed the distance with a few nice strikes. And she did get held against the cage for a couple minutes because she overextended. She was definitely kind of too amped up. But, I mean, her cage wrestling maybe is all I saw she needed to work on. She got controlled there a little bit, but eventually she did reverse position. She got kind of a sloppy headlock takedown, and she looks great in top position, though. She's a pro belt in jiu-jitsu. She was able to go to the mount, to the back, flatten her opponent out, ultimately submit her. And that's all we've seen so far from her so far. So it's been a full year since we watched her fight. She's 21, so I expect her to only continue to get better. And I don't necessarily know much about her gym, Team Weishaf. I'm not sure. I think it's in Chile. Yeah, but she did most recently fight for Combate, and obviously she looked good in that fight. But Megan Penning, she's already 1-0 in Invicta, but she hasn't fought for the promotion since November of 2020 and kind of only fought sparingly as a pro. She made her pro debut and then didn't fight for 3 years after that. Took a year off once again before her most recent fight on June 8th, but she's turning around pretty quickly for this fight, so we'll see if that's a positive or negative on her performance. And Penning, she looks like someone that uses a lot of lateral movement, will jump into these wild punches, kind of can be evasive and then blitz in and try to take you down. And she has good clinch control against the cage, which I think is probably what she's going to try to utilize in this fight, try to hold her opponent against the fence, and trains out of New Mexico, so she has great cardio, training at elevation. She actually has a really good gym behind her, Fit NHB, which is underrated, as Tim Means and some other good fighters that have came out of that gym. So Penning has a lot more experience. I kind of am leaning with Penning. I feel like she'll be able to use that cage control and win the fight, but Orana is definitely the better prospect, the better athlete, younger girl, so we'll see exactly how good Fernanda Orana is in this fight, and I am a little bit surprised to see her entrenched as the favorite, so that could maybe tell you something that maybe some sharp people know a little bit more, but I'm going to go with Penning for this one at this moment, and we'll see exactly how good Fernanda Orlano actually is. But next fight, we got Maria Dushik. She's taking on Maria Favela. I don't got much to say about this fight. Hopefully, Maria Favela goes in there and looks good. She's making a return to competition pretty quickly after a battle with cancer, so I just think it's cool that she's making her return to the cage. And she trains out of Entrim Gym and Extreme Couture, so she has good gyms backing her, but I just really wasn't impressed with her, man. I mean, she tries to the check hooks, right cross overhand, really inactive, kind of a dull fighter to watch, and she doesn't look to wrestle, really. She's kind of one-dimensional with the boxing. She will throw some kicks sometimes, but very sparingly. And then I don't know how she's going to bounce back from these medical issues. She's coming back pretty quickly after the actual diagnosis. And Maria Dushik, she just looks like a big fighter for the weight, that's athletic, that has average striking, kind of can hold you against the cage. A green fighter with potential, but not very good yet. But I feel like her athleticism and probably just physicality advantage will bring her through this fight. I think Favela will be tough. I mean, she's Mexican. She is coming back in this fight when she doesn't have to very quickly. And she said she's doing it against the wishes of her coaches, and she's doing it because she loves to fight. So obviously she's going to be in there ready to go to war, I assume, and that's going to be her comfort zone after being in such trials and tribulations with these medical issues recently. So, but outside of being tough, I just don't think she's going to bring much more than that, and I think that Maria is going to be able to not get her out of there potentially, but probably win a decision. And this next one, this is a little bit higher level fight here with Jamie Edington taking on Abby Montes. Abby Montes, people know her a little bit because she did have several fights in the PFL. She actually got a win over Clarissa Shields, which Clarissa Shields is arguably one of the best female boxers of all time, so that's a gigantic feather in Montes' cap. But Montes has actually fought good MMA fighters as well and pushed them look good. So I feel like Montes is a pretty solid fighter overall. It's just she's not an elite athlete. She's not an elite striker. She's not an elite grappler. She's kind of just an all-rounder, I would say. So it's not like she's necessarily, in my opinion, going to beat the highest level opponents, but she can mix it up and take down strikers, and she can kind of pressure and clinch up girls and jab them up and use decent boxing. She has a great chin, good pressure. She's obviously big for the weight. She's missed weight for 145 before, so she's definitely a big, strong fighter. And, I feel like with Jamie Edington, she's athletic. She has kind of a style where she holds her hands low, but she wants to try to pull counter with the check hook and the big right hand, and she has power as well, so fighters have to kind of respect her. Even though she has her hands down and she looks hittable, they know that she's coiled, ready to counter, and then if they make that mistake of overreaching, she can make them pay with big power. And Edington has good takedown defense from what I've seen. She also can reverse takedowns, get on top, and control well from the top position. It seems like she has solid top pressure. But I do kind of worry about Montes just mauling her, backing her up, pressuring her, being the bigger fighter, and holding her against the fence, maybe getting a takedown or two. But I feel like Edington is slightly more skillful. She's going to be more powerful. I think she's going to have maybe bigger moments in the stand-up. And I'm going to lean towards Edington to get this win via decision in a competitive fight here. So that one I like that fight though. I think it'll be fun to watch. This fight, next one that we're gonna talk about, Milana Dudieva versus Sandra Lavado. Just a horrible fight, man. I mean, Dudieva, she's a decent fighter, but she just tends to gas out after round two in every fight, and she hasn't been able to get the job done very much in recent years whatsoever. But obviously, she's fought in the UFC. She's fought several times for Invicta. She's an experienced fighter. And Sandra Lavado, also been losing more than she's been winning recently. She's someone that's been on the Contender Series, and outside of that, most of her fights have been in Peru. But Lavado, I mean, I'm just not impressed with her at all. All she does is look to wait to counter with the 3-2s. When she has a wrestling advantage, she will utilize that, take girls down and control them, but she's really not a great fighter from the top position. And I feel like Dudieva is going to have way better wrestling, so Lavado's not going to have that avenue. And Lavado's so low volume that I don't know if the cardio concerns for Dudieva are going to be as big of a factor as they are versus other females. And Dudieva has power. She kind of has a tricky Russian-style boxing style on the feet. And she can use her judo and kind of takedowns as well, combat sambo takedowns, I guess, and control on top. It's just when she gets tired, she really gasses, the wheels fall off, and she can get finished or just get beat down until the final bell. So I think Dudieva should win this fight. I think she's better everywhere, but we'll see if she flakes out and takes the loss here. But ultimately, the pick for me is going to be Dudieva via decision, and I think she should win pretty dominantly. I mean, we haven't seen her in a while, but the last fight that we saw her against Denise Gomes, who's proven to be probably close to top 15 in the world, she dropped her. She was dominating Gomes for the first 2 rounds and then got tired and got finished in the third. And I just don't think Lavado is going to bring that energy and bring that offense to finish her. So I'm going to slightly lean towards Dudieva in that one. And continuing on through the card, we got a rematch here, but really it's a fresh fight. I mean, the first time they fought, it was a 1-round fight where it was a part of a one-night tournament for Invicta, and Deanna Bennett won a really close first round as well that really didn't show much. I mean, both girls were just exchanging position in the grappling room for the most part. And since that fight, I feel like Liz Tracy has leveled up, even though she hasn't fought in a while. That's kind of my primary concern. But when you watch her fight versus Tina Black, Valeska Machado, her footwork, her athleticism, and the stand-up looks a lot better, and she's moving well. She is using her jab, and even though she's at a big disadvantage in the stand-up against a high-level striker like Tina Black, I think versus Deanna Bennett, that movement and her jab and the improved boxing could pay dividends and be the difference here, especially with Deanna Bennett almost being 40 years old. I think that she's kind of washed. Her last fight, she got submitted in the first round. Even though she was fighting Viviane Pereira, who's a UFC veteran, a solid fighter, it wasn't a good look for her. She's been missing weight quite often, and both these girls are grapplers. I feel like Liz Tracy's the more dangerous grappler, whereas Deanna Bennett is the bigger girl and the more solid control fighter. And in the stand-up, I feel like Deanna Bennett previously had a big advantage where she would just march down Tracy and use that jab, some front kicks, and then clinch her against the cage. And she still might have that advantage early on, but I think as the fight goes on, we're going to see Tracy be the better conditioned fighter and the hungrier fighter, and I think she's going to get this win here. So I'm actually going to go with the underdog, Liz Tracy. I feel like she'll be able to get the better of a few of the grappling exchanges, get on top, maybe even hit a submission, honestly. And I think that the stand-up is going to be closer than their previous fight and just closer than maybe people are saying, because I do think Tracy kind of has gotten a little bit better with the stand-up. But 36 years old, coming off a layoff, we'll see if she looks kind of regressed, but she is 3 years younger than Deanna Bennett. So even though she's 36, she's the younger girl in the matchup, and I think that she's going to be a little bit hungrier and get this victory here. So give me Liz Tracy to get the win. And finally, we got the co-main event now. We got Christina Warhorse Williams taking on Nayara Maya. And I'm a fan of Christina Williams, man. I feel like she's pretty solid. She's fun to watch. She's someone that always goes in there and throws down, has fun fights. She fought in Bellator. She's fought in Invicta. Kind of been up and down, but she's shown good skill and ability. She's good at controlling the center of the cage. She'll pepper fighters. She has a long reach, nice 1-2s, 3-2s, good uppercut up the middle. She has nice kicks to all parts of the body, sick elbows, and she's durable. I mean, her length makes her hard to handle. She's going to be faster, taller than her opponent, and I think a volume approach would definitely be successful. She does stand kind of flat-footed, so fighters can get in on the hips, and I've seen Maya use the single leg to pretty good effect, so Williams needs to be ready to defend those, but Williams' takedown defense is pretty solid. I think she can grapple well, too, and I think that if Maya tries to hit some of these sloppier clinch takedowns that I've seen her try to attempt on other fighters, Williams can use that to get on top, maybe take the back. And just like Maya, though, one thing I don't like about Williams, we're going to talk about Maya in a minute, but both of these fighters like to play jiu-jitsu off their back when they're taken down, and that can kind of be to their detriment. But I think on the feet, Christina Williams is going to have a pretty significant advantage. I think she could even potentially win this one via knockout early, but if she doesn't, it'll probably settle into a decision. You look at Maya, I mean, she's intense. She's a pressure fighter, short, compact. She isn't a good athlete, but she'll kind of herky-jerky movement and big lead hook, overhands, lead high kick, stance switch, and kind of slow. And I think if she's forced to strike here, she's going to be in big trouble, but she likes to clinch and then eventually hit takedowns. And on top, she has good control, so I feel like if she can get on top, she's going to have an advantage. But on her back, she will attempt some leg locks. She'll have an active guard. But I don't think she's going to submit someone as experienced from bottom as Christina Williams. It is possible, but I kind of expect Williams to win this one at a pretty good clip. I think she can win this one via decision or finish. And I honestly think the under in this fight is a decent play. So I like Christina Williams to win that fight. And finally, we got the main event, guys. We got Lissandra Ferrera. She's taking on Andressa Romero, and this can be for the 105-pound Invicta atomweight title. Andressa Romero, she's a powerhouse. She made an instant impact for Invicta by winning her debut as an underdog, and Romero recently has been in some big fights, including a title fight against UFC fighter Fatima Klein in CFFC, and her victory against a high-level Japanese fighter in her Invicta debut, and she's in her prime right now. She dropped down to 105. Her last fight, I think this is her weight class. When you look at Lissandra Ferrera, she's an athletic girl. She's well-rounded, but I think she just needs more experience at this stage. She doesn't let her skills go at times. She can be very low volume, make fights close. In this fight, she has to let her hands go, be aggressive, or I think she's going to lose. She is a solid fighter, though. She's done well in her Invicta fight. She has a good camp behind her, but I think Andressa Romero is going to win this fight on aggression and physicality. Ferrera is faster, but she just waits to try to land one rear cross as her opponents enter and then time a takedown. And with Romero, I just don't think that's going to be enough. Romero's going to be pressuring. I think she pins Ferrera up against the fence. I think she takes her down a few times. Ferrera's just not going to be active enough, and I think the wrestling grappling disadvantage for her will be pretty major. And I'm going to predict Romero wins the decision here. If this fight stays standing, I see it being kind of boring. But I still think Romero would have a chance to win that as well, because I think she would have a lot of clinch control time against the fence. And you look at the Romero line, it steadily dropped. She was at like plus 180 at one point, plus 157, and now it's basically a pick'em. I think Romero is the slight underdog, but I think Romero is going to win this fight. So thanks for watching, guys. Sorry, like I said, for taking this or recording this video so late, but hopefully you could still hear some of it and put some bets down. So, like I said, I kind of like Romero as a bet. I like the Williams-Maya under, Tracy. And then besides that, kind of not too much besides that. I think Maria is probably going to win the fight and Christina Williams. So maybe that could be a solid parlay there, but it's not the greatest odds. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hit the like button. Comment down below. Do you agree with my picks? Do you disagree? And I'll be back soon breaking down another fight card for y'all.